Pushing feedback. Go for it, Debbie.
Color, so that you can probably stay away from black and white.
See, there's another argument that black and white is just really basically clear. So, fair enough.
I just see 7th graders like.
You're wrong. They might need a little bit
Oh my god.
No, there's an argument for it, I agree. There's an argument against the notion of colour as well. It's just really very clear and crisp to see. But I think a few more images and a little bit more visual stimulation.
Well, that's what I meant by colour. Is
okay.
Just add something to it.
You had
make
a
it look
couple.
like a last minute, like, and to make a PowerPoint. So by colour, I mean pictures as well.
Though I did appreciate the two pictures, the comparisons of the two. I thought that was good. I was hoping for more of that within it. So I agree with you, Devin. Kind of.
The only thing, guys, when you have like slot notes, just make sure you emphasize the blanks. Because I didn't really know we were filling in slot notes at one point, and then I looked down and was like, oh, I should be filling things in. That's just all I got.
Jim?
I do think it's kind of unlikely that the rest of the class would retain a lot of the information that was presented in the 2 minutes or whatever they had to present their images.
And I think that goes back to Charlie's thing, which was the idea of, I kept thinking, what could you do at the end, or what could we do to give them some starters? Because I get to, well, Tom, you can go first.
I was just going to echo what Dave said. I know you have experience in high school, and I was fine with finding the terms and stuff. I think for 12-year-olds, that would be a little hard if they're not emphasized on the actual presentation. So just to keep in mind for the second grade.
Jeremy?
Just about everybody does this, but I kind of have an issue with like notes being on like a half sheet or a little slip of paper, because I feel like kids would lose it real easily compared to, you know, a normal size sheet they could put in their notebook or whatever.
And I think I actually wrote that down. It says, think about with notes and things like that, how to organise them for your children, for the children. So it's nice to have all these little pieces, but if you want them to have things at the end, there's a danger that a lot of this will disappear. And there's a lot of good stuff that you've broken down, but you might need it kind of think, what do you want your students to do with it afterwards? Especially when it's any age, but the organisation is going to be hard, so think about that ahead of time. I agree with Charlie when he was talking about the clarifying questions, is that they almost needed to be a point where there needed to be some consolidation. And what I'd suggest is you go around, you collect everything that people have done, but look at the slot notes, because I think there might have been confusion over who did what, who put things in, who didn't. And I think one of the ways to overcome that is the idea of, if you created a frame at the end that is completed, or even at the beginning, and instead of slot notes, people are highlighting or signalling, you know, you can get them to, all we talked about on Tuesday, like there's a third of the paper where there's activities or questions based on. So this notion of signalling the document, questions that they respond to. Because slot notes, they're waiting for just a word, and they're looking for the word, and they're not hearing anything but, I've got to get that word, and I can't find it, so I'll let it go. I do think a frame at the very end that took the dictators, and everything that you had, boom, 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 that is set up, would have been a great way to consolidate and allow them to close and have something that they've got. I love the check sheet. I think the check sheet shouldn't have been on a slip of paper like this. It should have been underneath. There should have been the closure questions. So it's, here's your slot note, here's not the slot, here's your frame, here's this, here's the closure. Very powerful, because you had all the closure together, but these pieces, they just go. But if it's all together, you can still quickly check off yourself, summarise, and then you can evaluate their writing. I was initially thrown off by, well, I wasn't, but these two were. We didn't know what to do, because you said in your directions, we need to draw a picture of the person. Or I felt like we were having to draw the guy. And then once you brought out the answer, I thought, we have to, really, it's like some type of annotated diagram that tries to answer as many of all these questions. And so, because I was like, we can't draw another, you know, stereotypical image of somebody, you know. Could have done Stalin if Dylan had been here, because we could do the moustache. But beyond that, we were in trouble. So, I think what might have been good would be just to say, you know, it is an annotation. So a couple of your times where you give directions, it's like, I need to do this. This is an annotation. You could have had a quick model, or you could use one of ours as a model now for the students. It doesn't have to be great, but this is what I'm trying to cover. And then the final thing that I think, because you've done a lot of work, the final thing that I think would have been really good is, and it would have helped us in a sense. Here, somewhere there's a world map, and it's got Germany, Japan. You know, it's highlighted where we're talking about. And if we can get a small picture or an image, it could have been even on your PowerPoint, image of Hitler, image of Hirohito, Mussolini, and the country that they represent, plus the insignia if they have an insignia. Like for us, the Japanese flag, because we were using a lot of prior knowledge here, you know, and if we'd have had the Japanese flag, the area of the world that we're in, you could get kids pulling from that to help build the picture. So it's just that layering and scaffolding, because we relied on a lot of, well, they relied on a lot of my prior knowledge because they had nothing. So, but I think everything was coming together. It's just that ramping up that'd lay things out. Triggers. Okay, thought other
Just
stuff.
one or